My 5-year-old opened a cracked plastic toy at the family gift exchange, while her cousins tore into expensive gifts. My parents giggled. I grabbed the gifts from my trunk, looked straight at the table, and said, "You won't be getting a thing from me again." The room fell silent until my sister yelled. Christmas morning at my parents' house had always been more show than sentiment. Giant bows, unnecessary chandeliers rented for the day, and gourmet food no one actually liked. But this year, I hadn't expected my 5-year-old daughter to be used as part of their little joke. She sat there cross-legged in front of the tree in her best red dress and sparkly shoes, smiling like she always did when she thought she was part of something special. Her cousins, there were 6 of them, were tearing through metallic paper and ribbon like wild animals, shrieking every time another iPad or pair of designer sneakers came out of a box. The twins even got a VR headset each. One of them unwrapped a gold bracelet, real gold, by the way. And then my daughter found her name on a tiny bag that looked like it had been stuffed under the tree as an afterthought. There was no tag. The wrapping paper wasn't even taped. She pulled it open and held up a plastic toy horse. It was purple with cheap glitter, already cracked at the belly, and one leg was missing. The head was scratched. It looked like something that had been fished out of a dollar store clearance bin, or worse, someone's attic. She didn't say anything. She just looked at me and smiled. You know that kind of smile where a kid is still trying to believe in magic even when they've been handed proof it's fake. That kind. My mom snorted. My dad actually laughed and whispered something in her ear. I heard the word regifted. My sister giggled. I stood up. No one else noticed. Or maybe they did and just didn't care. They were too busy recording their kids opening Beats headphones and remote control drones. There was a stack of my gifts under the tree. 2 beautifully wrapped ones. I'd spent weeks putting together, each one personalized. I hadn't even gotten to hand them out yet. I walked out to the driveway, opened the trunk of my SUV, and pulled out the rest of the gifts I hadn't brought inside yet. I carried all of them back into the living room and set them down hard on the table. Nobody even turned their heads. I looked straight at my parents and said flatly, "You won't be getting a thing from me again." Everything stopped. My dad's fork paused midair. My cousin's toddler actually froze with his mouth full. My daughter was still sitting with that broken pony in her hands. Then came the scream. "What the hell is your problem, Linda?" It was my sister. Of course it was. I didn't answer her at first. I just looked around the room, all of them staring like I just smacked someone in the face. Not one person said anything to my daughter when she opened that thing. Not one person apologized. You gave my kid literal trash while you handed out tablets and jewelry, and I'm the one with the problem. That's what I wanted to say, but I didn't. Not yet. Because part of me wanted to see how far they'd go. The silence didn't feel like silence. Felt like static. Like that thick humming kind of quiet you get before a thunderstorm. Everyone just stared, unsure if this was a joke or the start of something worse. And it was definitely worse. My sister was the first to break. She shoved her wine glass on the counter and stormed over like I'd slapped someone. "You're seriously doing this over a toy?" She didn't wait for an answer. She threw her arms out toward the tree like that explained everything. Look around. Everyone got something. Everyone's happy. I didn't even blink. Everyone but my daughter. That shut her up for a second, but only a second. She scoffed and said, "She's 5. She doesn't care. Kids don't even notice stuff like that." I tilted my head slightly toward my daughter. She was sitting there still, one hand on that broken purple pony, staring at the floor now. She hadn't moved, hadn't said a word. She noticed, and so did I. I looked back at my sister. You don't get to decide what my kid deserves. You don't get to tell me what she shouldn't care about. Especially not after your twins just unwrapped electronics worth more than my car insurance. My mom stood up behind the island, then clutching a dish towel, like she was about to clean up a mess that wasn't on the floor. "Linda, please. You're not going to turn this into some pity party, are you?" That was rich from the woman who once cried for 20 minutes because someone brought store-bought stuffing. Kept my voice even. "You wrapped a broken toy and gave it to a 5-year-old. That's not an oversight. That's intentional." Dad chimed in next, but his voice had that smug calm he used when he thought he was being logical. "We're teaching her not to be materialistic. That's something you've clearly failed to do." I stared at him. My heart was pounding so hard I felt it in my teeth. "No, you're just cheap and mean and trying to package it as wisdom. Don't act like this was about morals. You've never believed in those." My sister gasped like she'd just been slapped herself. "You're disgusting. You're seriously ruining this for everyone. You could have just pulled me aside. You didn't need to do this in front of everyone. I crossed my arms. Oh, so it was fine to humiliate a child in front of the whole family. But God forbid I call it out where you might feel a fraction of the embarrassment she did. I saw the moment her face changed. Not guilt, fear. Fear that I wouldn't stop at words. And I didn't. You want to talk about ruining things? Fine. Let's go there. I've paid for your kids' school books, your rent when the twins were toddlers, the sports camps, the therapy sessions, the laptop that magically broke and needed replacing. Every time I helped, I did it quietly. But now you wanted to yell at me in front of my daughter. You wanted to say I ruined Christmas. She opened her mouth to respond, but I didn't let her. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to leave me alone. You're not going to text me. You're not going to send guilt-tripping photos of your sad dinner plate. Because if you do, I'll stop paying for everything. Let's see how much goodwill that bracelet buys you when your card gets declined at Target. My mom stepped forward. That's not fair. You can't punish the kids. I looked her straight in the eyes. You already punished a kid. I'm just reacting. The silence that followed was different, heavier. No one laughed. No one sipped their drink. My daughter stayed quiet, but I could feel her watching me. And for the first time, they were all looking at her too, and no one moved. No one reached for another drink. No one tried to smooth things over. No one even dared to fake a cough or a laugh to break the moment. The air turned thick and bitter. The kind of silence where you know a line has been crossed, and there's no going back. My sister cracked first. She spun around, grabbed her phone off the counter, and stormed down the hallway, muttering something about a lunatic and a meltdown. She didn't say it quietly. She wanted me to hear it. I almost wished she'd said more. I was done pretending to be understanding. My mother sat back down, still gripping that stupid dish towel like it was a lifeline, wiping a counter that didn't need cleaning. My dad crossed his arms, his usual move when he felt cornered but wanted to look in control. I was done being cornered. I was done being polite. My daughter was still sitting there, her backpack half-zipped, clutching the broken pony toy against her stomach like it mattered. And maybe to her, it still did. I think that was what hurt the most, that she decided to love it anyway. Like that's what she thought she was supposed to do. I walked over and knelt beside her. Ready to go, honey? She nodded and stood. No hesitation. No tears. But she didn't leave the toy behind. My dad finally spoke. So that's it. You're just going to walk out and throw a tantrum in front of everyone. I didn't even look at him. The tantrum was handing her garbage and laughing about it. I'm just reacting. You're not reacting, he snapped. You're making a scene. I zipped up my daughter's jacket without responding. Then I walked over to the side table where I'd stacked the gifts and picked them all up. No one stopped me. Each box was wrapped differently, gold paper, hand-tied bows. I'd chosen wrapping paper to match everyone's personality. I'd handwritten every tag, spent evenings cutting tissue paper, writing cards, double-checking every gift to make sure it felt right. I carried the entire stack straight to the kitchen trash. Not the recycling, the garbage. And I shoved every single one in. My mom jumped up like I'd thrown away an heirloom. Linda, are you kidding me? I didn't look at her. I didn't look at anyone. You don't deserve them. And I'm done pretending otherwise. My dad stood, his voice turning sharp. Don't take it out on everyone just because you feel left out. I finally faced him. Left out? You humiliated my daughter on purpose. For what? To prove some twisted point about not spoiling kids? You think that makes you wise? It makes you cruel. It makes you small. He tried to speak, but I was done. I turned to my mom. And you? You always find a way to twist the knife and smile while you do it. You smile while making kids feel like they don't belong. She stepped back, but I kept going. I've helped this family more times than I can count. I've kept your lights on when bills were missed. I've paid for things your favorite daughter couldn't afford but wouldn't admit. I never threw it in your face. Not once. But you handed my child a piece of plastic trash and expected me to smile. I let it sit. Then I said the part one hadn't planned. The kids' school accounts? I managed those. Keep pushing me. Just remember who signs the checks. The room went cold. Even my niece pulled off her headphones. The teenagers looked uneasy. My mom tried to recover. You wouldn't hurt the kids over this. Hurt the kids? No. But I won't keep paying so they live comfortably while you treat my daughter like she's disposable. I took my daughter's hand, walked to the front door, and opened it. The air outside was freezing. I didn't care. It felt cleaner than what we were leaving behind. That my daughter looked up at me. Are we going home? Yeah, baby. We're going home. As I stepped outside, my sister yelled from down the hall. You just ruined Christmas for everyone. I didn't turn around. What none of them realized yet was this. We hadn't even left the neighborhood when my phone started vibrating in my coat pocket. I ignored it at first, assuming it was more fallout. My sister needing the last word. My mom trying to rewrite the story, but the buzzing didn't stop. By the time I buckled my daughter into her seat, it had gone off 4 times. Her little plastic pony sat in the cup holder beside her like a forgotten prize. She didn't ask questions. She just stared out the window, her legs swinging above the floor mat. The way she stayed so quiet kept me grounded. I didn't want my daughter to see what was building inside me. But when I finally checked my phone, there were 6 missed calls, all from my sister. That wasn't drama. That was panic. I answered. Linda, you need to come back, she said fast. This isn't about the gifts. Dad used your emergency card. I felt my stomach drop. The card. The one meant for hospitals or emergencies. The one I trusted them with. He bought the watch, the bracelet, the iPads, everything, she said. He said you'd expect it. That it was temporary. That I pulled into a parking lot and opened my banking app. Over $3,200 in pending charges. Electronics, jewelry, expensive toy stores, luxury gifts for everyone, except my daughter, who got a cracked pony. I froze the card. Then I reported every charge as fraudulent. The card was in my name. They hadn't even warned me. They just assumed I'd cover it. By the time we got home, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. My mom, my dad, cousins. My daughter ran inside and turned on cartoons, completely unaware she'd just blown up the family. Then the doorbell rang. It was my sister. No makeup, slippers on, hair still wet. You need to undo this, she said. That I blocked the doorway. You used my card. You let my kid be humiliated while your kids opened thousands of dollars in gifts. She didn't deny it. Everything's been flagged, she said quietly. They might take the gifts back. Good, I said. She panicked. This is going to destroy everything. What destroyed everything was you all thinking I'd keep paying while my daughter was treated like she didn't matter. You're blowing up the family over nothing, she said. That I laughed. Because it wasn't nothing. It was everything. She tried one last time. You're really going to punish the kids? No one cared when my daughter was punished, I said. Don't pretend this is about them now. As I closed the door, she yelled, Mom says don't bother coming back. I stopped once. Tell them they're lucky I didn't call the police. I shut the door and locked it. Inside, my daughter was curled up on the couch, cartoons playing softly, finally at peace. The broken pony sat beside her, lined up with her stuffed animals like it belonged. I asked if she was okay. She nodded and said she named the pony Lemon because it was broken but still cute. That nearly broke me. After she fell asleep, I checked my phone. Messages everywhere. Angry, guilt-filled, threatening. My mom called me heartless. My dad said I embarrassed him. My sister said I was vindictive. Relatives told me to apologize or get therapy. Not one person asked how my daughter was. Then the group chat exploded. Stories were rewritten. I'd stormed out for no reason. The toy was a joke. I was unstable. Something in me went quiet. That I sent one message. I've spent years paying for your comfort while being disrespected. Today you crossed a line by humiliating my child. I'm done. Then I left the chat and blocked them all. Parents, sister, relatives, anyone who only showed up for money or holidays. The house felt peaceful. I slept. The next morning was heavy but calm. I made pancakes. My daughter gave Lemon a seat at the table. She didn't ask questions. She just smiled up. By noon, my mom showed up. She said things got out of hand. I told her this was always how it would end. I just stopped accepting it. She warned I'd regret it. I didn't respond. She left. I shut the door. This time it felt final. That night, my daughter and I played games, watched a movie, made hot chocolate. I gave her the gifts meant for her. She said it was the best Christmas she'd ever had. And I believed her. 3 weeks passed. Silence. No calls. No texts. It felt like oxygen. Then a letter came. No return address. It said, she's 5. Don't rob her of her family just because you needed attention. No apology. No accountability. Just blame. Just control. That I saved it. Documented it. Because this wasn't revenge, it was protection. I'm not keeping my daughter from anyone. They did that when they made her feel small, that I'm not worried about how this hurts her. I'm grateful I stopped her from thinking that kind of treatment was normal. Let them keep writing. Let them keep blaming. The silence after blocking them is peace, and I'm keeping it.